All right, Steeler fans, it is time for the mailbag segment. You know what it means. Every Wednesday, I answer your questions live on the show. So let's get right into it. Believers who asks he always does the ride or die poll of the week. He also does an Oklahoma Joe's poll because this segment is courtesy of Oklahoma Joe's. They did right by me, so I'm going to do right by them. If you want to get an Oklahoma Joe's grill, I just did some awesome burgers on my Highlander grill. That's the one I've had since 2020. It's held up. It's awesome. They just sent me that new smoker. I did 2 pork tenderloins and 2 whole chickens. Took me only about 4.5 hours. They were phenomenal. All the guests that came over loved them. The kids loved them. You can save yourself some money. Go to their website, Oklahoma Joe's, and you can use the code RideOrDie10. Save yourself 10%. So I want to do right by them. So here we go. Ride or Die Crew Oklahoma Joe's poll of the week from believers. When grilling, smoking, my favorite thing to make is. So the options were burgers and dogs, steaks, chicken, and pork. It's all of it for me. Like I love grilling food. I love smoking food. I'm gonna have to say that my wife, I asked her and I voted. She said she loves my burgers. Like the burgers that I make on the grill are phenomenal. I don't do a lot of hot dogs, but if I did burgers and dogs is the way we went. Next one was the Ride or Die Crew poll of the week. I want the Steelers to trade up, stay at 20, or trade down. I actually said trade down. We'll talk about that as we go. Let's go to Jeff Coons. Good morning, Jeff. Do you like the clips of Mike Tomlin talking to the Steelers draft picks on the phone? Any favorites? Mine has to be him telling James Conner to drive down from Erie, but he, quote, wasn't going to reimburse him for the gas miles. Man, I'm just joking, end quote. I do love those videos. I think it's awesome when you hear Tomlin talking to the draft picks for the first time. It's like that once in a lifetime thing. So I don't have any necessarily that stick out. I think I remember more of the players' reaction than I do Tomlin. He seems to be pretty much the standard. Hey man, you ready? You healthy? You healthy? But I do love those. Yeah. Let's go to Tank. He has several questions. If the Steelers hired either Diesel or Aaron's the Diesel Kiesel, I guess is who you're talking about, Brett Kiesel or Aaron Smith to coach the defensive line, do you think Benton and Loudermilk would drastically improve? If there's one coach I do, I like Carl Dunbar. I think he's a phenomenal football coach. I think that they might help from an experience perspective, but he is a good coach. I want to get that out of the way. Next, Tank says, continue with former players. Would you rather see Law Dog for the linebackers or Pouncey for the new center? Give me Pouncey. Give me Pouncey. I think he would be a great coach. Next, from Tank, with teams inquiring about pick 20, do you think a bidding war will grant us their first, a second, and another fourth? I think it could. I think if you want to move up that far, let's say it's 28-20. We'll keep with that same Buffalo Bills at 28. If it's that 8 spots, you might get a second pick and not just like a second rounder. I think that could legitimately happen. Let's go 2 more from Tank. Now that we have Jay Peasy Jr., isn't it logical for the Steelers to find the son Troy was always holding the trophy with? I think that kid's in high school. And it's crazy that Jerome Bettis' son is going to Notre Dame. It's insane. I'm not that old. How does this happen? I don't know. Last one from Tank. Would you consider this next season a bust if we don't get Fields or Wilson locked in for the next few years and at least a division round win in the playoffs? I don't know if I'd call it a bust. It would be really tough a tough pill to swallow if neither of those 2 quarterbacks have proven their worth and the Steelers say, we want to keep you here. Let's make the financials work. That's what would be tough. Let's go to Tom East. Jeff wanted to wish the Steelers good luck in the upcoming draft. Second, can you see the Steelers picking O-line with the first 2 picks? Ride or Die Crew forever. Thank you, Tom. I don't think for the first 2 picks, although if they went offensive tackle in round 1 and then they went center in round 2, I could see it happening. I could see it happening now that you mentioned it. Let's go to Thomas. He said, would you be willing to trade both 3rd-round picks to get another 2nd-round pick? Man, that's a difficult question. I would not. There's still a lot of value in the 3rd. If they trade one of them, if they move up and they want to trade that last 3rd-round pick that they acquired from Philadelphia, I'm fine with that. But I want a 3rd-round pick. I don't want to abandon the 3rd-round picks. Brian Haynes asked several questions. Here we go. Which day of picks do you enjoy the most? I like night 1, but I really enjoy day 2. I think more happens on day 2. I like round 1. It's just exciting. It's the players that I really, really know. Once you get to day 2, I'm not a draftnik, so I don't know all these guys. I find myself saying, who the hell's this? So day 1 for me. Brian also asked, since you started really following, what's the best draft class you've seen? I will say that 2023 is going to be up there. They have to prove themselves still. I'm going to say 2017. That was a great draft class. And although a lot of those players aren't with the team anymore, does not mean that that wasn't a great draft class. You had TJ Watt, you had Juju Smith-Schuster, you had James Conner, Joshua Dobbs, Cam Sutton was in that class. It was a good draft class. Brian also asked, would you rather trade up for an effing tackle, meaning there's all these tackles with the last name that starts with an F. Say Fuaga at 17, trade back for Barton 27, or stay put and get Mitchell. If you could guarantee it was those three players, those numbers, of course, would I trade up? I'd trade up for a tackle if they think this guy can start on day one. I'm not interested in trading up for Amarius Mims, who's not going to be, hey, let's put him on the right side. Broderick, you move over to the left. Dan, you're the break glass if emergency, the tackle. Unless it's that guy, I'm not interested. All right, let's go to Corey Eckenroth. He said, okay, Jeff, no one else asked, so I dare to. With the 20th pick of the 2024 NFL draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers do what, Jeff? Trade, stay, and if so, who does El Jefe think the Steelers take? All right, so I actually think they are going to trade. Which way? I don't know. If they stay, I think they take Graham Barton out of Duke. That's my prediction. Let's go to, we had a couple more from Brian Haynes I missed. Let's go to those. Can Khan call the Bears and offer a stale bag of chips and a conditional 7th rounder to trade up to 9 and take Rome Odunze? I don't think that Chicago is buying that, but I would love it. Next, let's go to Brian. If Brock Bowers is there at 20 and all 5 top offensive tackles and cornerbacks are gone, do you take him? These are the hypotheticals that are tough because, well, what about the offensive line? Like the centers, are they all still there at 20? What about the wide receivers? I need to know my options. It's tough for me to answer that. Let's go to Will Caldwell. Hey, Jeff, based on the vibe, are there any players that if they fell within reason outside the top 10 that you could see the Steelers moving up for over staying put and getting a Fontenot or Barton? Yeah, there are. I still swear that if a really good receiver, if like Rome Odunze somehow fell to 11 or 12, I bet the Steelers would be interested. I bet they would be interested in placing a call. I think Denver is 12. So maybe if Quinyon Mitchell, I'm telling you, they like that guy. They've liked him since the Senior Bowl. They really liked him after the Combine. That hasn't changed. Steeler fan 69, injecting some humor into the show as he always does, said the Terminator works at my grocery store. I asked him where the laundry detergent was, and he says, I'll be back. Get it? I'll be. I know. He said, this one's for bad. Dorothy, I miss Kansas. Toto, I miss the rains down in Africa. There's going to be a whole slew of listeners that don't know that the band Weezer didn't sing that song. That was actually Toto. He said, what do you call a constipated detective? No, you know what? Sherlock. Trying to keep it PG here, Steeler fan 69. Thank you very much for the jokes, as always. Let's go to Matt D. My sneaky take is that the Steelers double dip at defensive line. Maybe not at the top of the draft, but I think we come away with 2 defensive linemen by the time the draft is over. Thoughts? I'm all for it. I'm all for it. They need to bolster that group. Isaiah Loudermilk, he's in the final year of his contract. He hasn't really done much anyways. Cam Hayward's not getting younger. Larry Ogunjobi didn't really play well last season. Bolster the group. I'm all for it. Brian Katz, if you were to take a shot whenever a certain word or phrase is said during the draft, which of these would make you drunker than a Kennedy? Now, let me first say I do not drink. So haven't drank in years. And no, I'm not an alcoholic. It just doesn't suit me anymore. If I were to say, okay, let's see. I would say if you want to be drunker than a skunk, or if you want to be dead by pick 15, every time someone on the NFL draft, whether you're watching NFL Network, ESPN, doesn't matter, every time they say value, drink. And you will be probably passed out, like I said, by pick 15. All right, Brandon Diaz. He asked 4 questions. Number 1, as we sit here right now, are we more likely to trade up or down in round 1? It depends on how the board goes. Number 2, say we have an early run on quarterbacks and offensive line. Are we taking Cooper DeJean or a wide receiver? Again, it's tough. Give me some other options. Like there's got to be someone else other than Cooper DeJean for me to choose from. Number 3, if the Steelers were picking 1, who would they take? So you're taking 1 overall? I'm not a fan of Caleb Williams, by the way. Never have been, probably never will be. It has nothing to do with off the field stuff. I just think he's too streaky. He's not consistent enough for me. Drake May, I know it's Jeremy Betts' guy. I'm not a fan either. If it were me, like Jaden Daniels provides something, but JJ McCarthy, he's probably the most pro-ready quarterback of the group. But then again, some might say his ceiling is lower. I don't know what I would do. Number 4, when's IU coming to Pittsburgh, Thursday night or Friday? I haven't heard anything on that front. I do know Rob Stats Guerrera of Fans First Sports Network, who does our 49ers coverage. He does a great job. He actually had a podcast come out saying that they told Ayuk if he wants, he can search for a trade if he wants, but they got to approve it. So we'll see what happens. Jay Allen said, if the Steelers had the number 1 overall draft pick this year, but promised Russell Wilson they wouldn't pick a quarterback, who do they pick? Man, so you're saying that number 1 overall draft pick, but they can't take a quarterback? Who do they pick? Well, there's some really good tackles that they could probably take that would be just fine. That would be just fine. I know that a lot of people would say, oh my gosh, number 1 overall, or you could take Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't think anyone would argue if you say, I don't need a quarterback, I want the best skill position player. That's probably it. That guy would probably be it. They're not in that situation, though. Let's go to James. He asked Jeff, other than the block number uniforms, which would you choose to bring back of the following? The 1930 Bumblebees, 1960 gold helmet, gold numbers, white pants combo. He said, I've seen a lot of uniform buzz lately. Would love one of those other throwbacks. Well, I don't think the Steelers like to duplicate throwbacks. I've said it a million times. All I want to freaking see, give me the block numbers and just once. Just one time, can they please have gray face masks? Just one time. I just want to see it once. People that don't know this, the Steelers' first 2 Super Bowls that they won, the team wore gray face masks. It was not black. Then the second time they did, the second time they actually won 2 Super Bowls, so the last 2 of that 4 in the 70s, they had black face masks. I want to see block numbers. I want to see the gray face mask. And I'll be happy. That's all I want to see. All right, Zach Farnsworth said, hey, Jeff, how long do you think fans should give new draft picks before we can decide if they were a good pick or a bust? And does it depend on their draft position? I would think a round 1 pick would contribute sooner than a round 5 pick at least to start. Yeah, so last year I think I did expectations for these players. Round 1 pick is expected to contribute this year early. Round 2, day 2 picks, round 2 and 3, they are expected to be some form of contributor. Maybe it's just special teams in their rookie season. After that, it's a crapshoot. It's a crapshoot. But I do think you have to give players time. You have to give them time to develop. Think about a Nick Herbig, 4th round draft pick, came in sparingly on defense, made some plays. Let's not forget the strip sack. I think it was against Geno Smith and the Seahawks this past year. Made some plays, but was also just a special teams guy. So he contributed, and he's expected to take a big jump in year 2. Got to give him time. Got to give him some time. West Coast N said, if the Steelers were to double dip at any position, what would you guess that it is? I'm actually going to go with Matt, who said defensive line. I think that the defensive line is a place, if they double dipped, I'm not upset about it at all. Cornerback is another one. That's another position I could see them double dipping. Christian Bond, I hope I said that pronounced that correctly, said, why is everyone hating so much on Dan Moore? I'm all for the Steelers drafting a tackle, but am I wrong to think he should be a solid contributor in 2024? He's not the worst tackle in the league. He's definitely not the best tackle in the league. The Steelers fan base wants a really good left tackle. I don't think that's a fault of anyone. With that being said, I think the Steelers are approaching this draft saying if a tackle is there, we will consider it. We are not going to overreach for a tackle because we have Dan Moore. And they could probably get a guy, hell, they might have a guy on their offseason roster that they really like. They had, I think, the guy from Shepherd, where I graduated college. I believe he's on the offseason roster. Maybe they really like him. I think his name's Dylan Cook. I'm not sure if that's correct or not. But still, I'm with you. I don't know why everyone craps on Dan Moore. He's got 1 year left on his rookie deal. If they draft somebody, great. If not, we'll see. Last one, Blue Steel. Do you have any special draft night plans? Grilling, live streaming, night putting? Night putting. I love that. If you don't know that joke, you got to go watch Caddyshack. All you got, hey, it's just putting at night. You knew who that guy was, Danny? Bob Hope? No, Mitch Cumstein. Anyways, that's the joke from the movie. It's Chevy Chase, classic. So draft night plans means that I'm in front of the computer and we're doing our coverage. We're doing our coverage. So on night one, day one, we're gonna have a live stream for the entire round one. We're gonna be there, myself, Brian, Dave, a lot of contributors from the Steel Curtain Network. And you're just going to get an idea of like, here's what it looks like. This is us just sitting around talking about it. We'll bring up comments and stuff like that. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that guy went there. After that, it's going to be a lot of writing for me when the Steelers do make their pick. I've got to do a lot of editorial stuff, got to do a lot of stuff for Fans First Sports Network. And then, yeah, we'll be doing some podcasting as well, but I'm not going to be grilling on draft night. Now that's a busy night. So that's probably one of those. My wife might make pizza or something and we'll have pizza, something quick, because this is the busiest weekend of the year for me in this job. By far, the busiest weekend of the year is the draft weekend. And that includes the season. This is the busiest weekend. It is exhausting, but I also think it's a lot of fun. And I've learned to like it more and more every single year. So I'm excited for this season. I'm excited for this draft. I'm excited for everything to take. Let's do it. Let's finally get to the draft. Make sure you're staying tuned to Steel Curtain Network. We've got a great podcast coming up at noon, the Steel City Insider with Jeremy Ritz and our own Jim Wexel. And then steelcurtainnetwork.com should be your one-stop shop. You'll still have the Stat Geek tomorrow morning with Dave Schofield. You'll get what Yin's talking about in case you want that last final fix before the draft kicks off Thursday night. And then Thursday night, there's no preview because we will be on to talk about the Steelers' first-round pick. I'll be back on Friday. No Jeremy Betts. I'll be doing probably some real short winners and losers, my thoughts on the pick. It's going to be a lot of fun. Buckle up, folks. We are going to have you covered here at Steel Curtain Network. In the meantime, you finished out. Be safe, be kind, and God bless. It's almost here. We'll see you on Thursday night. Go Steelers.